an infinite fractal universe of basically an infinite number of Big Bangs.
You won't believe what NASA discovered on Pluto, according to Brian Cox. After NASA's New Horizons mission passed by Pluto, our understanding of the planet was drastically altered. During its brief journey, we discovered something new about the locations in the universe where life can flourish. Many new things were discovered by the New Horizons spacecraft, and we are still learning about them now. Join us as we investigate the waters beneath Pluto to see what is there. We'll witness odd activities, enormous mountains, and freezing landscapes. The water on Pluto might contain life. The possibility that Pluto has an ocean beneath the vast layer of ice covering its surface was one of the most unexpected discoveries. According to some experts, including renowned physicist Brian Cox, there may even be life in this ocean. How could that be? Pluto has the solution in his heart. The planet Pluto is similar to another planet. Pluto, like Jupiter's moon Europa, has an ocean beneath its surface, as evidenced by the fact that it is a frigid wasteland covered in massive water ice mountains and frozen flows. The mission scientists are in awe of what they have witnessed. They didn't anticipate discovering such substantial amounts of fresh ice, despite the extreme cold. The idea that this ice is thick enough to alter the land's shape is absurd. The possibility that Pluto might only have a rocky core surrounded by a frigid shell thrilled the experts. But that's not all. According to team member William McKinnon, this frozen structure increases the likelihood that an ocean lies beneath the ice. They have also discovered water ice on Pluto's highlands for the first time. The head of the New Horizons project, Alan Stern, is certain that there is a lot of undiscovered water in the world. However, there was insufficient evidence, even in 2015, to conclude that Pluto did contain an ocean beneath it. The items discovered were only clues. That was a long time ago, though. Since then, researchers have been putting a lot of effort into figuring out the million-dollar question. Why is Pluto's ocean so important to everyone? The reason for this is that Pluto's ocean portends many things, including the potential for life. How could life, however, survive in such a cold ocean? According to Brian Cox, there is a chance that life could exist on Pluto. According to Brian Cox, this water is sufficiently warm for life to exist. It amazes me to think that there could be organic chemistry and life on this little world. Brian Cox is fairly certain that this concept will succeed. He believes that Pluto most likely has its own inhabitants, if our understanding of life on Earth is even remotely incorrect. However, the New Horizons spacecraft may not be able to confirm if there is warm water on Pluto's surface. Finding conclusive evidence on this peculiar ocean is difficult, Cox said. He suggests that we focus on researching the moons of planets that are nearer Earth instead. Titan and Enceladus, two moons of Saturn, and Europa, a moon of Jupiter, are excellent areas to search for evidence of extraterrestrial life. According to Cox, Enceladus even shoots liquid into space, while Titan appears to have an ocean beneath its surface. We may search for organics and swiftly move through that. Despite the intriguing notion of Pluto's hidden ocean, it appears that our best chance of discovering evidence of life is on the moons of other planets. Going from primitive single-celled organisms to sophisticated multicellular beings is like trying to squeeze through a very tight opening, according to Brian Cox. Only a tiny portion of worlds with life will have more than biology because it's so difficult. According to Cox, complex life is most likely uncommon in the world. He does, however, make an intriguing observation regarding what we have discovered thus far. Life exists on Earth as long as there is water. It makes logical to believe that life could exist in the ocean on Pluto, because the materials that make up our solar system are comparable. However, Cox consistently advises people to have less hope. This talk does not contain any large, high-tech creatures. If life exists on Pluto, it's probably incredibly basic and uncomplicated. Complex life is uncommon, but any indication of extraterrestrial life, no matter how basic, would amaze us. Ultimately, because they still don't know much about Pluto, scientists believe there is a good chance it may support life. Jupiter is a heart-shaped planet. Life on Pluto begins and finishes in the center of the planet. A heart that NASA discovered on Pluto is causing the planet to perform a number of things. This heart is a massive nitrogen iceberg that is 1 million square miles in size. In the center, on a location known as Sputnik Planitia, sits the greatest glacier in the solar system. Astronomers first believed that Pluto's distinctive morphology resulted from a violent collision with another large object in the past. However, we are curious about the peculiar location of this pond. It is situated immediately opposite Pluto and opposite Charon, its brightest moon. It might not have been an error because an impact might not have occurred in that precise location across from Charon. Polar wander, which occurs when a planet shifts its spin axis as a result of significant geological processes, is thought to be the source of the alignment between Charon and Sputnik Planitia. Sputnik Planitia is currently located there because it is a suitable location for chilly weather. A massive sheet of ice, at least 2.5 miles thick, has formed due to the accumulation of nitrogen ice. Only if Pluto has an ocean beneath its frozen surface can this event occur. Pluto has shifted its orientation to face its moon Charon as a result of this basin. Interestingly, the basin tilted and aligned more closely with the axis of gravity between Pluto and Charon as a result of the heavy ice and Charon's pull on Pluto. This alteration is probably what caused Pluto's surface to fracture and create those massive faults that run the length of the planet. In the northwest, close to Pluto's north pole, the valley first formed. If more ice continues to accumulate in the basin, Pluto will continue to shift its location. These discoveries shed light on the evolution of even the most enigmatic and distant objects in our solar system. However, there are still many unanswered questions regarding Sputnik Planitia. The mystery of Sputnik Planitia. Brian Cox discussed an intriguing discovery scientists made on a particular region of Pluto in his BBC program, The Planets. There they noticed something really odd. Most people just refer to this region of the sky as Pluto's heart, but Brian Cox termed it Tombaugh Regio. Right on the edge of this region is a range of mountains that rise up to 6 kilometers above the plain below and are composed of frozen water ice. Even weirder is the fact that this location is distinct from the rest of the dwarf planet. Sputnik Planitia is distinct from Pluto, which has a surface covered in craters from strikes that occurred over billions of years, as Dr. Cox stated. There are no visible craters, and it is extremely smooth. It's fascinating that this area of Pluto defies convention and is unique from the rest of the planet. You will never see anything like this anywhere else in our solar system. An intriguing network of polygonal forms is carved into the ice on the surface of Sputnik Planitia as you zoom in. They are all at least 10 kilometers long. Under a microscope, they resemble cells, but they are not. These shapes actually demonstrate how Pluto's heat is frantically attempting to escape from beneath the glacier. As a result, rising and falling nitrogen ice bubbles form, creating a lava lamp-like appearance. Because they differ from anything we have observed in the glaciers of Earth or any other place in the solar system that we have examined, these shapes are highly intriguing. It seems evident from a distance that Pluto has no impacts, but as we approach, the mystery becomes more complex. Detailed images of the frozen nitrogen surface captured by New Horizons reveal a complex pattern of pentagons and hexagons spanning the whole surface. Although there is a suggestion that comparable patterns may exist in other parts of nature, this odd occurrence is still extremely odd. Convection, which warms and pushes objects about, is the reason behind the odd patterns observed on Pluto's surface, according to Dr. Cox. The substance, in this case nitrogen ice, rises, cools, and finally falls as a result of the heat source. Thus, the area is kept fresh by the currents, which is what gives these designs their distinctiveness. It was shocking to learn that a very little world like Pluto is still living. However, where is the source of this heat? Some believe that the presence of radioactive materials in Pluto's core is the reason of this. The nitrogen ice may be melting and rising and falling as a result of these elements' breakdown and heat release. Pluto appears to be far more active than previously believed because of this continuous activity. This discovery is just another indication that Pluto might have an undiscovered ocean of water beneath its surface. But can we be certain that Pluto has an ocean? The information acquired suggests that there might be more to the story than meets the eye. Sputnik Planitia had a greater mass beneath it, according to the data from New Horizons, which probably contributed to its reorientation. This larger bulk may represent an ocean of water, according to scientists. This theory is supported by a number of pieces of data, including the tectonic patterns shown in the images captured by New Horizons. These characteristics imply that Pluto has an ocean beneath its surface. Sputnik Planitia is believed to have formed approximately 4 billion years ago, most likely as a result of a massive impact by a Kuiper Belt object that was 50 to 100 kilometers large. Pluto's icy crust was severely damaged by this collision, leaving only a thin, delicate layer on the base bottom. This hole would then have been filled in by an ocean beneath the top, which would have applied pressure on the crust, strengthening it. Over time, the nitrogen ice layer that is visible on the surface was added. Scientists believe this liquid ocean may have formed extremely fast based on images of the planet. Although they are not proof, these findings strongly suggest that Pluto may have an ocean. Did you know that scientists formerly believed Pluto evolved slowly from cold stuff? That's why Pluto's ocean is what it is. They believe that the dwarf planet gradually accumulated rock and ice as space debris orbited the sun. An ocean would have formed beneath the surface if any of the ice had melted due to the heat inside. Given that radioactive elements may give the ocean the heat it needed to survive, this explanation made reasonable. A study that was published in June 2020 tested this theory. The scientists intended to investigate the possibility that Pluto was once hot and formed by a sequence of large collisions, similar to how Earth originated in its early history. This study's intriguing conclusion is that Pluto's hidden liquid ocean has most likely existed for billions of years. This discovery raises the possibility that our solar system's outer regions include a large number of subterranean oceans. This excites those who are looking for extraterrestrial life. Pluto and its ocean beneath the surface were starting to take shape, but Earth remained a roaring mass of molten rock. Water has been flowing on this distant world ever since, which may make it a suitable habitat for life. The study gained a fresh perspective on Pluto's formation by contrasting computer models with data from the New Horizons mission. Remarkably, it implied that Pluto had an ocean beneath its surface and was quite hot when it originated. This pioneering work challenges earlier scientific theories on Pluto's formation. Additionally, it demonstrates that liquid seas, previously believed to be exclusive to Earth, are present on dwarf planets in the outer regions of our solar system. These findings are critical, according to astronomer Alan Stern, who oversees NASA's New Horizons project. Everything changes if seas are rather abundant rather than extremely rare in the outer solar system. We can learn more about the potential for life on other celestial objects thanks to this new information, which is exciting. According to Stern, it will alter our perspective on the solar system. Scientists were astounded at Pluto's complex and colorful surfaces as the New Horizons mission passed by it in 2015. They started to suspect that beneath the frozen surface might lie an ocean. Over time, these ideas have become more powerful. The majority of planetary scientists today concur that Pluto does have a liquid ocean that encompasses the whole planet. The study's principal author is Carver Barron, a graduate student at the University of California, Santa Cruz. He claims that we have learned a great deal about the inner solar system thanks to asteroids and other information sources. Pluto's location in the inner solar system is well understood, but the outer solar system is less so. The study's objective is to close some of those gaps and improve our understanding of global events. Is it better to start it hot or cold? So, was Pluto hot or chilly at birth? How are we going to solve that? This study provides a solution to that query. It turns out that one clever method to determine whether Pluto originated hot or cool is to look at its surface. It has to deal with the behavior of water during freezing and thawing. According to Stern, this is analogous to placing a glass of water in the freezer. Overnight, the glass will break. The reason for this is that when water freezes, it becomes larger. Pluto experiences the same thing. When water freezes, its molecules slow down and organize into a crystal form. The ice becomes thinner as a result. For this reason, ice cubes rise in your drink and frozen water is larger. Therefore, Pluto's surface should have developed if it was first hot and then gradually cooled, leaving behind geological features created by the growth. However, Pluto's surface would have been crushed across its several paths if it had been frigid in the first place. To determine which scenario best matches the facts, the scientists carefully examined the data from the New Horizons probe. What they discovered astounded them. There were no indications of compression, and they observed portions of Pluto that appeared to be incredibly old, possibly as old as the solar system. This indicates that Pluto got off to a great start, according to Carver-Barron, who was also involved in the study. Here's an example to support the claim that Pluto got off to a great start. A common perception of icy planets is that they are tidy circles formed by collisions. However, in the case of Pluto, the holes have widened with time. It's odd that none of them exhibit any indications of compression, even in the oldest sections. There are further bits of evidence as well. Carver-Barron created a model of Pluto's early formation using a hot start scenario. If Pluto had formed as a result of successive large impacts, it was discovered that the heat from those explosions would have kept the ocean within the planet liquid. However, Pluto would have needed to form very quickly, less than 30,000 years at most, for this to have occurred. This theory is intriguing because it aligns with emerging theories about the early formation of the Kuiper Belt, which is located beyond Neptune and is home to numerous tiny planets and icy objects. It is believed that small objects in the Kuiper Belt develop quickly, most likely within a few hundred to 1,000 years. The fact that the rocks are guiding us in this direction intrigues Pearson. The same findings are being reached by scientists who investigate the movement of the Kuiper Belt. Additionally, he claims that the notion that Pluto had a heated start is an odd and unusual response. In addition to Pluto, the nearby dwarf planets Eris, Makemake, and Haumea also benefit from the theory that Pluto formed in a catastrophic explosion. Other minor planets, like Pluto, might have formed hot and fast. The long-held belief that Earth is the only ocean world in the solar system is brought into question in light of this new evidence, as well as what is known about the icy moons that orbit gas giants. Our solar system may contain liquid water in its most remote regions. According to Stern, both the inner and outer universes may contain a large number of worlds with seas. This is regarded as one of the most significant discoveries in the history of planetary research. These bizarre worlds might not appear capable of supporting life at first glance. After all, Pluto receives very little light because it is just 4 billion miles from the Sun. As a result, the surface is extremely cold, roughly minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 33 Kelvin. But under the warmer water beneath Pluto's ice surface, away from radiation and asteroid impacts, life might be able to endure. Stern discusses the potential benefits of this for life. The fact that submerged oceans are safer for life in many respects is fascinating. The asteroid strike that wiped out the dinosaurs is not likely to happen to you. If there were a supernova or solar flares from the Sun, you wouldn't be in risk. Pluto has had an active ocean for a very long time, as evidenced by this recent discovery. The New Horizons project manager acknowledges that the evidence they have concerning Pluto's ocean is unclear. Rather, he compares it to shaky evidence in court, which may not be sufficient to convict someone. For this reason, he and a team of other scientists are advocating for a spacecraft named Pluto Orbiter that would begin orbiting the small planet in addition to returning to it. Only a small portion of Pluto was visible to the New Horizons spacecraft during its approach, and only 40% of the distant planet was captured in high-quality images. We're shocked at how much we've learned just a quick pass. In addition, 40% of the surface was too dark for New Horizons to see anything. However, radar and laser sensors aboard a Pluto orbiter might be able to read the surface without the need for visible light. According to Stern, an orbiter is required to confirm Pluto's ocean existence. He contrasts this with the discoveries made by Galileo and Cassini, which demonstrated that Europa and Enceladus, respectively, had oceans. Addressing the concerns brought up by the New Horizons project is the goal of the PANI mission. We learned a lot about Pluto and the Kuiper Belt objects from the New Horizons mission, but it also raised more questions than it resolved. These were significant questions, such as the internal structure of Pluto and Charon and the evolution of Pluto and Kuiper Belt objects. But whether Pluto actually has an ocean is the most crucial question. In order to accomplish these puzzles, the Penny expedition will need to carry a lot of items and employ two distinct approaches. In order to conduct a thorough investigation of these celestial entities, the object will circle Pluto and intend to encounter other Kuiper Belt objects, KBOs. However, how much time will it take to reach Pluto? About 27.6 years, even with the assistance of Jupiter's pull. Because it must spend 3 more years orbiting Pluto before moving on to Kuiper Belt objects, the entire mission will take 30.7 years. Pluto is difficult to reach, as the New Horizons mission demonstrated. It took them 9.5 years to sail by Pluto between 2006 and 2015. However, it would take more than 27 years for PANI to reach orbit around Pluto and its moons. This extended period is due to the difficulty of entering orbit. The researcher for the PANI mission concept, Dr. Carly Hout, discusses the difficulty of the task. Because Pluto is so far away, she explains, it is exceedingly difficult to get a travel into and around the Pluto system. The spaceship will have a long cruise period because it must approach the Sun gradually in order to enter orbit. The spacecraft will arrive sooner if it travels faster, but it will require more fuel to slow down and avoid passing Pluto, which will increase the length and expense of the journey. Our current generators won't survive more than 30 years. Thus, we also need a more contemporary power source. Regardless of the length of the mission, 18 or 27 years, the journey to Pluto is a lengthy one, spanning an entire childhood, not including the time required for construction and operation. Even though the task will take a long time, Hout feels it is still necessary. Although the New Horizons mission left us with many unanswered concerns, it also demonstrated the fascination and diversity of the objects in the Kuiper Belt. Since it takes decades to reach these far worlds, we must make a decision fast. Over the next 50 years, we must find answers to these concerns and gain greater knowledge about the region. PANI's goal could be the solution we require. Let's now discuss expenses. For PANI, we would need to spend above $3 billion. Given the substantial financial outlay, it is crucial to ensure that the objective is truly worthwhile. Although the New Horizons mission gave us the closest up look at Pluto ever, it was only a single point in time, so the data it collected isn't ideal, particularly when it comes to describing how Pluto's surface evolves, how its atmosphere functions, and its volatile past. However, PANI offers us a unique opportunity to observe the Pluto system's time fluctuations. It can document long-term changes that have occurred in the 43 years after New Horizons sailed past, as well as short-term changes that occurred during its 3-year visit of the Earth. However, it's crucial to keep in mind that there are risks associated with this work. For it to succeed, key technologies must improve. The launch vehicle and the necessary power are the 2 main dangers associated with the PANI mission. Currently, 5 radioisotope thermoelectric generators, RTGs, are required, but if they require additional power, that number may increase. Additionally, modifications to reduce the mission's overall weight might be necessary if the SLS space launch system or another launch vehicle doesn't function as intended. Nevertheless, the potential rewards outweigh these dangers. Scientists believe Pluto may have a subterranean ocean. It might result in some really intriguing things if they are correct. This suggests that life could flourish somewhere else in our solar system. It also suggests that there may be other types of worlds in the universe where life may flourish. PANI is primarily interested in learning why Pluto has liquid water and why it survives despite being so far from the Sun. Hout claims that in order to unravel these mysteries, we must orbit Pluto because a single flyby is insufficient. We may examine Pluto's gravity signature and observe how it alters the ship over time by circumnavigating it. Though it only examined Pluto for a brief period of time, New Horizons has played a significant role in getting us to consider these issues in the first place. The journey to uncharted territory. The spacecraft began its journey toward Pluto on January 15, 2015. On March 10th, a rocket burn was employed to alter its trajectory. It was so near to Pluto after 2 days that it was closer than Earth is to the Sun. The close meeting was now 4 months away. Images of Pluto started to reveal distinct shapes as April 29, 2015, drew nearer. The knowledge increased every week as the spaceship drew nearer. New Horizons' last engine burn on June 29, 2015, accelerated the spacecraft and improved the accuracy of its trajectory toward the target. However, things nearly went wrong. Due to an error in the scheduling of its directives, New Horizons entered safe mode on July 4, 2015. The crew had to sit and worry for a few days until the spaceship resumed its regular operations on July 7. 3 more days later, New Horizons data finally provided a solution to one of Pluto's most crucial questions. How large is it? Researchers discovered that Pluto is slightly wider than previously believed, at roughly 2,370 kilometers. The moon of Charon was likewise discovered to be roughly 128 kilometers wide. Then on July 14th, New Horizons passed roughly 7,800 kilometers over Pluto's surface. Mission operations received many status updates after 13 hours, confirming that the flyby had gone smoothly. What will happen to New Horizons next? In April 2022, the mission was extended a second time, potentially enabling solar system-related investigations that benefit NASA's astrophysics and heliophysics departments. The probe is currently inside the Kuiper Belt and in good health. It is traveling away from the Sun at a rate of 300 million meters each year. In order to conserve fuel and maintain its condition, it entered sleep mode in June 2022 and remained there until March 2023. What did they find? The excursion undoubtedly altered the way scientists thought about Pluto. We discovered that several of our preconceived notions about Pluto were incorrect. The probe approached Pluto after 10 years of traveling over 3 billion miles, providing us with the clearest image of the planet's surface to date. In addition to Pluto, NASA also had a clear view of Charon. Mariner 2 marked the start of NASA's lengthy history of planet exploration 50 years ago. That journey, however, ended with this pass. Strange territory that is unique to the solar system was depicted in the images. But it wasn't the end. Almost all of the theories that claim Pluto was a dormant ice ball have been refuted or overturned. In the 5 years that have passed, New Horizons data has demonstrated that Pluto and its moons are far more complex than previously believed. Scientists were astonished to see how much activity was occurring on Pluto's surface. Haze in the atmosphere and a lower than expected rate of air escape forced a significant re-evaluation of earlier models of the Pluto system. New Horizons Chief Alan Stern expressed his excitement, stating that the solar system has saved the finest for last. The team's choice of a planet on the fringe of the solar system could not have been more significant or fascinating for science. For 15 years, the New Horizons team planned and executed this flyby, and Pluto exceeded their expectations. The difficulty was worth it for Pluto. Pluto is a very frigid world, but after much effort and time, scientists now know that it is a vibrant, active, and scientifically significant world. It's interesting to note that it might even have data that can help us understand other minor planets that are located distant from the Sun. Naturally, Pluto and Europa, an object in the Kuiper Belt, have previously been examined by New Horizons. What else is expected of this ship? Things in the Kuiper Belt can lose their focus. Regarding the New Horizons spacecraft, NASA is unsure of what to do. They are unsure whether they should continue with the original purpose of the probe or begin working on another scientific project. This has angered several people, particularly Alan Stern, who expressed his confusion and disappointment in a meeting. Of the 3 suggested years, NASA only consented to send the probe on its next voyage for 2 of those years. Stern had hoped for a more all-encompassing approach that would integrate other scientific disciplines. Rather, they must handle a distinct review within a single division. Stern is certain that shifting the focus may make it more difficult to research fascinating new discoveries in the Kuiper Belt. He bluntly illustrated on a slide how this decision contradicts the mission's initial objective. Stern further supported his argument by highlighting the positive results of New Horizons evaluation, noting that it had numerous advantages and just one minor drawback. However, after reviewing the study, which indicated that the probe had very little risk of colliding with other objects in the Kuiper Belt, NASA made their decision. Like a needle in a pile, more items are difficult to locate in the Kuiper Belt. According to NASA, the probe can advance science in fields including astrophysics and heliophysics. We won't discover anything new about Pluto until decades later, regardless of NASA's decision.